Okay.
All right, great. Thank you very much. I've got 20 minutes to talk around analytics. It's a topic I could talk to you for many, many moons around. 4 things I'm going to cover today. I'm going to talk briefly around Mercer, talk briefly around analytics, give you some takeaways, and then also just quickly take you through a case study, an example of where somebody is using analytics. Let's see if the pointer works. There it goes. Whoops, too fast. For those of you that don't know, Mercer is a global firm. Obviously, we have presence here across Asia, work across multiple lines of business. I'm part of our talent business within the Mercer family. So focused as I was introduced around doing HR transformation, workforce planning, and HR analytics. We've got a very robust practice in this part of the world around analytics. We have a center of excellence based in Singapore. We've been doing analytics in Mercer for 15 years. Some really interesting stuff going back through our Workforce Sciences Institute in the US, who have published papers and books around this particular topic. And in essence, analytics has been around for a long time, if you think around it from an HR point of view. The sad thing is, in HR, we don't use analytics really well. We do a lot of reporting, and that's pretty much all we do. And we think that's analytics, but it's not analytics. And so we're going to spend time talking around how you as an organization can get started on that analytics journey. It's an interesting place to be, because if you think around what we do in this particular space, it's all around thought leadership. How do you bring together all the different parts of data in your organization? Bring together your HR data, bring together your sales data, bring together your manufacturing data, and pull it all together so you can actually tell a story to the business. What we're not great at in HR is telling great stories. You would think HR practitioners would be really good at telling stories, but in reality, we suck at telling stories. Think around your friends in the finance and the marketing function. They're great at telling stories. In HR, we tend to put data in front of the business in the form of an Excel spreadsheet or a pie chart or some form of graph, expect the business to understand what we're talking around. So what I want to do is talk around how you actually use some of this thought leadership to actually get through it. HR analytics, there's a lot out there. You know, we've heard around the evolution through strategic partnering. We've heard around what we can do around using data, hopefully over the course of the strategy. But what we really want to be thinking around is, what should we be measuring? It's the question everybody asks me. What should I measure? Problem is, I think we're measuring the wrong stuff in HR. We're very inwardly focused in what we measure. We measure the number of hours people spend on training. We measure the ratio of HR staff to full-time employees in the organization. Inwardly focused measures that the business doesn't really care about. We produce reports every month, every quarter. We send them out to the business. Do you ever get any questions back around any of the data in that reports? If you had to stop sending out 80% of those reports, would anybody ever care? Has anybody stopped sending out those reports? Just think around it. All that time you're spending generating those reports, you could use those people to get focused around doing analytics, looking at the data in a completely different way. So think around what you're actually doing in your HR function. Analytics is not reporting. It's around moving beyond reporting. It's around thinking around how we do predictive modeling. You know? How do we actually think around attrition rates coming up? Can we predict attrition in certain parts of the business? Can we predict hiring and what we need in the organization moving forward? How do we actually make sure analytics supports your strategy in the organization? Is there a clear linkage around what you're measuring in the organization from a people point of view and the business strategy? Really important things to be thinking around moving forward. Look at this as a continuum. Think around where your organization is on this continuum. Give you a bit of a moment to reflect. What do you spend most of your time doing? Data and research that we've done across Asia shows us that 70% of the organizations do ongoing reporting. So out there generating reports. Less than 2% do anything around predictive analytics. How do you actually move across that continuum? What are some of the things you need to be thinking around in terms of your analytics journey going forward? Experience shows us that most of what we do from an HR point of view is reactive. We get thrown a question by the CEO or from HR or from the part of the business. What's going on? We go out and collect data. We're very reactive. Often that question's asked, the next day the person who's asked the question's forgotten about it completely. We're still collecting data. It takes us 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We go back to the business and say, here's the answer. They've moved on. It's not important to them anymore. So we're very, very reactive in terms of what we do. We're also very much focused around doing, like I said, the ongoing reporting. Organizations are starting to use benchmarks. About 22% of the organizations we've surveyed are actually doing some form of benchmarking in the organization, primarily around salary data. We're very obsessed with benchmarking in Asia. We want to benchmark ourselves against the organization next to us, best in class. The problem with benchmarking is it's very specific to your industry and your business strategy. I can be sitting right here in Manila having a really regional focused strategy. The company right next door to me can have a global strategy, and we start trying to benchmark ourselves against them from an HR point of view. Their business strategy is completely different. Why are we actually benchmarking ourselves against that particular industry? So for me, benchmarks are very deceptive. They're more around an indicator of what you can potentially do. Rather, if you're going to do benchmarking, focus around internal benchmarks. Set yourself goals of where you can go to as your organization to match the overarching business strategy. Correlations. Does anybody do the linkage between performance and engagement? Salaries and performance and engagement? When you start to do correlations, there's a time and a directional component. You need to understand what comes first and what comes second. Does bonus, if we say somebody a bonus, does that encourage performance? Or does performance drive a bonus? So there's a time piece there and a directional piece that you really need to think around. So as you start to move across this journey, you need to think around where you are on this continuum. This is not linear. You don't have to go through these on a step basis. My recommendation for you right now is to start to do a predictive project. Go and do some predictive analytics. How can I do that? I don't have the data. My data's not clean. Isn't that the story we hear from HR all the time? Data integrity. We've got to go and clean up our databases. We've got multiple databases, multiple parts of the business. My answer to you is if you've got a payroll system, how accurate is your data in your payroll system? 98, 99, 100%? Because if you're not paying people on time and you're not paying them the right benefits, they soon come to you and make sure you get to fix it up and it's clean. If you've got a payroll system, you've actually got enough data to start doing stuff around predictive analytics. Because in your payroll system, you have a start date, you have an end date, you have tenure, often you have performance levels. You have enough data fields just in your payroll system to get started and do predictive analytics in the organization. So think around where you're on that continuum. Think around where you actually want to be. The right place for your organization might just be to do being ongoing reporting. Might be based on the maturity, the sophistication, but that's fine. But be aspirational in terms of where you want to go on the analytics journey. Think around how quickly you can move into the predictive space. This is what I hear all the time from HR. Incredibly frustrating. My data is unreliable. I can't even get an accurate head count. Have you heard that in your organization before? Yeah? I don't know what to measure or how to measure it. The question I get asked most as a consultant, tell me what to measure. And my consultant answer is, it depends. It depends on your strategy. It depends what the business problem is that you want to focus in on. There's 400, 500 different HR metrics out there that you could potentially go and select and look at. Most probably more. It's not cookie cutter. Your business is very, very different to other businesses and other organizations close by you. Our team spends all our time creating reports. Like I said, stop creating those reports if they're adding no value. There's nothing like just turning them off. Carry on producing them, but don't send them out. See if you get any questions, 1 month, 3 months, 12 months. A lot of times when I go and look at organizations and they're generating all these reports, it's based on somebody calling into the HR function saying, I need this data, I need this report. HR goes and produces the report, and then every month they carry on produce the same report over and over again. It was a one-off report. The person that actually requested the reports left the organization. HR is still sending out the report. So we generate reports and spend all this time doing this, adding no value to the business at the end of the day. We don't know how to translate what we're doing into insights. This is around telling a story with the data. How can you actually go and look at the data, look at the analytics, link it back to the business issue, and tell a great story. A lot of what I do in organizations is teaching people how to tell stories around the data. Great storytellers in the business, people like Steve Jobs. Yeah? He would only use pictures and 7 words on a slide. Yeah? So I'm not as great a presenter as Steve Jobs because I'm using more than 7 words in the wrong font. But think about it. The amount of time he would spend prepping to tell a story around what's actually going on at Apple. 40, 80, 3 weeks to do an hour-long presentation. You as an HR practitioner, how long do you spend practicing and presenting to your team when you're going to go and do a presentation to the CEO? 5 minutes? Do you practice and do a run-through with your team and see what questions potentially can be asked? Very few people do that. We throw together the presentation, we rush and put it to the executive team, can't tell the story. We can't link back to what we're actually doing, back to what the business problem is in the organization. So these are common challenges, and we hear them all the time. They're not insurmountable. What we want to do as we move around this whole analytics journey is really to think through how do we actually make a difference in the business. It's all around allowing the business to make better decisions, fundamentally. It's around what is the business impact of our HR assets or our human capital assets in the organization. And the stages that we need to go through in order to get that is thinking through what are the right metrics. What is the business issue, the business problem we're trying to solve in our organization? That's the starting point. Once you've got that, then you need to think around what are the metrics. And then you collect the data. You don't start and collect data. The biggest issue we have in HR is we go and collect data. We're obsessed with collecting data, and we're obsessed with making sure the data is accurate. That is not analytics. That's collecting data from a reporting point of view. Well, I heard a great quote around analytics. When you're doing analytics, it's about being directionally correct rather than precisely wrong. So if you're doing reporting, it's all about being precise. We need accurate headcount. If we're doing analytics, it's around directionally correctness. Who really cares if we've got 998 employees versus 1,000 employees? We're doing analytics. We're telling a direction. Same as the marketing guys, same as the finance guys. We're telling and setting a story, and we're telling the organizations what's going on. You've got to think around it doing it this way first. Start off by understanding what is the business issue. What's the problem we're looking to try and solve in the organization? Based on that, we choose the metrics. Then we start to collect the data. Often you might not have the data in the organization. You might not do engagement surveys. So your strategy might be saying we need engagement data in order to go and collect the right metrics. So you put in plan a place to go and do that. Then you go and report, and then you analyze the findings. Look at the first piece, choosing the metrics, data visualization, and then storytelling. Those are the 3 key things you need to be thinking around on this journey. It's all around uncovering the people issues. And I'm not going to spend time going through these, but what is the real business problem? What are the critical talent groups in the organization? Is there a clear direction around what are the strategic roles in your organization? Do you know the 15 to 20 critical roles in the organization that are actually going to sustain your business 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out? Do you understand the business strategy well enough to actually articulate those critical roles and understand what the critical skills are to actually do that in the organization going forward? We do something called an internal labor market map. Think of your organization as an ecosystem. You have people coming into the organization, so those are the hires in the green. You have people leaving the organization, those are the people in the red. And then you have people in the organization at different levels. What we want to try and understand is the flow of talent through our organization. This is a great way to go and report headcount to the business. Instead of showing them an Excel spreadsheet, clearly on this one picture, you can very clearly see what's going on in the organization at this particular level. You can see the diagonal shape tells you something around the organization. So is this a build or a buy organization? This is a buy organization, typically. They're buying talent across all levels of the organization. Now that impacts your strategy. There's decisions you need to make around whether you do learning programs, recruitment, talent acquisition programs. We can see at this particular organization, there's a massive issue at one career level. We've got people at level 3 leaving the organizations en masse, 20%. There's some form of choke point happening in this organization. What this is now telling us What do we need to go and do? Let's go and do some digging, looking around to try and understand what the issues are in this organization. So what we're looking here is understanding the issue. We're starting to visualize the problem and articulate the problem to the business. What should you focus on? Like I said, hundreds of metrics out there. How do you choose the right metrics? You know? Are you thinking around build or buy? These are some of the new metrics that we see organizations starting to focus on in an organization. You know? Cost of turnover, total training costs, typical HR measure. Does it add any value to the business? No, not really. You know? Percentage pay performance related. Yeah, that starts to interest the business a bit more, starts to give us a bit more focus. So you've got to be thinking around what should we focus on in our organization about choosing the right metrics going forward. Simple example of what we're doing here. This is how we're actually trying to look at moving to prescriptive. You know, why do people actually leave in this organization? And this is very, very interesting because we tend to focus around a couple of things here. Look at supervisor span of control. We all know if a manager's managing too many people, you know, it's unlikely that they're going to stay. And this is actually born in fact in this particular organization. In this organization, if a supervisor was managing more than 10 people, the likelihood of people leaving was 48%. In that same organization, if a supervisor was managing less than 3 people, line on the bottom, the likelihood of them staying increased by 50%. So what we're now starting to do is to actually look at turnover trends, understanding data, jumping into the details around what's actually happening in an organization. Think around these things as you start to go. Now we're waiting for the slide to turn over. Key things to remember. If you're having trouble getting started, find a business problem and solve it. It's the fundamental starting point of starting your journey in analytics. What's the business issue we're trying to solve? If we carry on sending out HR reports month in, month out, we're not solving any business problems. We're not adding any value to the business. So what's the business problem? Is it turnover? Yeah? Is it engagement? What's actually causing it? Is it high performers leaving the organization? What's the actual business problem? You know? Don't we have enough people to meet our production targets? Get somebody to help you. And that's an expert. And very often in the organization, it's people in marketing, it's in corporate planning or strategic planning, it's people in finance. There's other people in your organization who are doing analytics. Reach out and involve them. You don't have to go externally. There's great people internally in your organization that you can tap on to actually start to do things. Your data's never going to be clean. Just get started. Yeah? So many organizations that I talk to spend 3 months, 6 months, 12 months cleaning the data. Your data is never going to be clean. You know? It's a myth. You know? It's the holy grail. Let's put in an HRS system where we're going to have clean data and it's going to be 100% accurate. Your data, in reality, is never going to be clean. The cleanest data you've got in your organization is your payroll data. So think around how you actually start to do that. Dashboards, it's a field of dreams. You know? Just don't think because you've got a dashboard, it's actually going to solve all your problems in the organization. You know? And if you've got a dashboard and everything on your dashboard is green, you're measuring the wrong stuff. You know? Because a dashboard should be a combination of greens and yellows and reds, because the reds tell the business we've got a problem and we need to fix it. But HR, everything needs to be hunky-dory. Everything needs to be green. So if you're measuring everything that's green, you're measuring the wrong stuff. And your dashboard changes as your business strategy changes. And then finally, point around here is just don't cut and paste. Yeah? What's right for your organization can be very, very different to what's right for another organization. And what works for them might not work for you. So really think through, as you start on this analytics journey, around just getting started. Thank you very much.